martini, shaken, not stirred.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Houston, we have a problem.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
I'm your #1 fan.
And here we go.
Welcome to another edition of the Cine-Men movie podcast. Happy Monday, moviegoers. It is December the 9th, and we are all set for today's episode as we are digging into Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest, selected here. I'm joined by the Cine-Men movie podcast crew. I am Juan, by the way, your host, and I'm joined here by Zach.
What's going on, guys?
Ed.
Hello.
How's everybody doing today?
Pretty good. How about y'all?
Pretty good. Can't complain. On this busy Monday morning. I don't know.
So much news.
We have some new trailers to talk about. We have some Golden Globe nominations to talk about. But let's get right into it. First off, let's talk some new trailers.
Yeah.
I know we both recently have seen. Ed, me and you just watched the Ghostbusters trailer.
Yeah, that seems really cool.
Now, is it like a direct sequel to the original, or what are we doing?
Well, you know what we normally do? We normally used to play trailers on this podcast. So Zach, I am going to get ready to show you the trailer. But first, let's talk about some other trailers that we recently just started watching that you guys have all seen.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder Woman is one of them. What do you guys think of the new Wonder Woman one?
It looks cool.
Ed hasn't seen it yet, has he?
No, I have not.
Zach,
what do you think about it?
I'm excited. I already seen that Wonder Woman 3 is
already
in development.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty crazy on that.
Other than that, Ed, did you both see the Mulan trailer?
I did, yes.
Yeah, the Mulan trailer was actually really good.
But yeah, Mulan looks really cool.
Yeah, it actually really did. I mean, they're doing a lot of the doing a lot of the Disney remakes newer, you know. So we'll see how it fares. Hopefully, this one's a bit more well received.
I'm not interested in Mulan. I'm sorry.
Really?
The whole trailer does not look interesting to me.
I texted you. I said, "Oh, this looks amazing." You're like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just I'm slowly, and this might be.
Are you done with the Disney remakes?
I'm done, and this might be even worse. But I'm slowly jumping off the Disney bandwagon.
Maybe she'll win his heart over just like she did with all the Emperor's people. So, you know.
Well, one of the things I love about it is that it's setting it like in real time, real historical China.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it's still going to be a musical, but I mean, at least they keep the score to the original film, which I like. So.
Did you see that Lion King is getting a animated nomination?
Oh, well, we're going to talk about that. You're already starting to piss me off.
I mean, that pissed me off because you get the whole hype about live action and we're going to nominate it as an animated film.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Don't worry about it.
But we're going to play right quick over the air the actual Ghostbusters 3 Afterlife trailer. So you guys give a listen out in podcast land.
What are you doing here in Somerville anyway?
Honestly, my mom won't say it, but we're completely broke. And the only thing that's left in our name is this creepy old farmhouse our grandfather left us in the middle of nowhere. Why'd you bring me up here?
Entertainment value?
What is that?
I don't know.
Somehow, a town that isn't anywhere near a tectonic plate, that has no fault lines, no fracking, no loud music even, is shaking on a daily basis.
Under the dining table now!
Hey, remember that one summer we died under a table?
I found this in my living room.
Whoa, killer replica.
A replica of what?
A ghost trap? There hasn't been a ghost sighting in 30 years. New York in the 80s? It's like The Walking Dead. Your dad never mentioned this to you?
It's just my mom. My grandfather died. My mom says we're just here to pick through the rubble of his life.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
Call it fate. Call it luck. Call it karma. I believe that everything happens for a reason.
Come on, darling.
It has a gunner seat?
I am
That looks cool.
I'm super
That looks
excited
cool.
about it. The little girl is. I'm thinking it's gonna be Egon's granddaughter.
Yeah.
So
and I think and they've already announced that
Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd,
and Sigourney Weaver are coming back.
Yeah.
So
You know, it's going to be interesting to see if they squeeze him in, if they talk him into it, is if Rick Moranis comes in.
I'm sure.
You think? He hasn't done anything since the...
Forever.
Yeah.
I mean...
Which is an incredible story, guys. I really highly recommend why Rick Moranis no longer acted. So, check it out.
Dang, okay.
So, with that being said, Ghostbusters. I'm excited for Ghostbusters. I saw the trailer for Wonder Woman. We talked about that. I'm excited for that. Mulan is getting thrown under the rug. 2020 might start my hashtag fuck Mulan.
I'm gonna laugh if we go see it and you're like, oh, that's the best movie of the year so far.
I don't know. I'm just come up with something original. You know what I mean?
I know.
Even all their Disney's original stuff gets shit on.
Yeah.
Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
Which actually I thought that was pretty good.
It is.
I mean, it was.
Yeah. But we got 2 other trailers to talk about. Black Widow. We got our first trailer for that.
I am excited about Black Widow. Anytime Black Widow is on screen, I'm in.
And it does have a really good cast to it.
Yeah. I think even though she's dead, if they find some way to tie it in, good. If not, I still think it's going to be a good movie.
So now there's actual theories out there that are saying it wasn't her and all this crap. And I'm just like, dude, they showed her. It's simple.
I'm tired of these fan theories with Endgame. If all you have to do... Rant of the day for... Rant part 1. If all you have to do is to sit and discuss fan theories about a movie that's almost a year old, go watch something else. Those 20, 30 minutes, go stand in line and go watch A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Or go sit down and watch The Irishman. Get off your fucking phone. I'm tired of fan theories. And it really got irritated around Star Wars season.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear 10,000 fan theories. I want to go to the movies, sit down, and check it out. Because you know what? Somebody had some fan theories around Endgame, and half of them were right. And you know what? The closer it got to certain scenes, I was like, oh, there's that fan theory I was reading. And it kind of ruined the movie for me.
For me, I've really tried to stay away from everything about Rise of Skywalker. I want it to be a surprise when we go see it. But the other trailer, like, I'm so hyped for this, is the new 007, No Time to Die.
Yeah.
It looks incredible.
It does look very good. Christoph Waltz,
Is
little cameo scene in it.
Rami Malek is going to be the bad guy.
Ed, you've never seen a James Bond film, and it's crazy. It's funny enough that we're doing North by Northwest today, talking a little bit of James Bond, and we'll get to that later. Heads up, guys, this might be just a little lengthy episode with Golden Globe talk and some James Bond talk. So with you not seeing any 007 movies, Ed, next month we're starting
with the Casino
007
Royale
movies.
Well, I mean, I've seen a couple scenes in here and all that, and I can see what you were comparing to. So, I mean, I can definitely get on that train for that matter. But, yeah, I just... I really haven't been into any 007 stuff. I mean, I find it pretty cool, you know, the different actors that have played and all that, and the different, you know, little lores and all. But
and then the one thing that is only so far the only thing that has got me tuning into Disney Plus is Mando, and it's been pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I think the lengths are good for the episodes. In my first rant about it, I didn't like it. I was like, I want more, but now it's enough.
Yeah. Are you guys caught up? I haven't watched the new episode, but
I'm all caught up too.
Okay.
It's good.
Yeah. I'm really thinking about honestly canceling Disney Plus after The Mandalorian's done. At least bring it back till next season.
You haven't got on anything else, have you?
Mm-mm. Well, it's just like, stuff that we grew up with.
The Jeff Goldblum series is pretty good.
That is ridiculous.
It's pretty good.
It's
good. It's funny.
Just Jeff Goldblum being Jeff Goldblum.
I could sit and listen to Jeff Goldblum talk about fucking Lent, and he would make Lent sound so entertaining.
I do have one other trailer that I want to put out there. I know you hate me right now. I got the new season of Letterkenny, season 8, coming up on the 27th. They've got their little clips and all that. So if you like a good
season 8,
yeah.
It's been around that long.
Well, it's only been around since 2016, 2015, if I'm not mistaken.
But they have like 2 seasons of the year, don't they?
Somewhat,
okay.
Because I mean, don't get me wrong, most of them they're kind of like a Game of Thrones, but instead of an hour episode, they're like 25-minute episodes. So it's 6-7 episodes every season. Pretty simple, pretty easy. And actually, they just released the 7th season in October, and there's been so much outcry because it was left on a cliffhanger. So they are pumping season 8 pretty quick, and I'm pretty sure they've wrapped up filming already, and they are going to divulge it for all you Crave people out there on the 25th, Christmas of course, and for us Hulu people, the 27th. So Canada gets it 25th, we get it the 27th in America.
Ed's trying to find a region-free PlayStation 4 so he can download Crave and watch it 2 days early.
Hey, but yeah.
Well, while we're at it, we'll go ahead and say, before we get into some recent watches, I think I was going to save it for a little bit later, but we'll go ahead and talk Golden Globes right now.
Yeah, I got the whole list in front of me, so if you want to go through them. I just did the movies.
Yeah, I'm not worried about TV shows.
Ed, I will say that Chernobyl did get 4 nominations for Best Limited Series, Best Actor, Best Supporting, and Best Supporting Actress.
Nice.
So it was not ignored at all.
I mean, don't get me wrong. They did a lot of historical referencing in there because of a lot of different things. Even down to like the elephant's foot, the helicopter crash, and so many different other things. Even the trial was pretty well done and almost historically 100% on point.
I've heard it's an incredible show. I've just never had a chance to watch it.
Let's go ahead and talk Golden Globes, which the Golden Globes air live January the 5th.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just gonna run through these, and if you guys have any comments or have anything rant, let's just do it. So normally the Golden Globes are divided up by drama and comedy or musical. So for Best Picture Drama, we have 1917, which I've heard is incredible, The Irishman, Joker, Marriage Story, and The Two Popes. Best Picture Comedy or Musical, Dolomite Is My Name, Jojo Rabbit, Knives Out, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Rocket Man.
I'm surprised I'm glad that Rocket Man was put in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also upset that Once Upon a Time is in that category. But I guess with it being Golden Globes, I know how the Golden Globes are fucking picky.
Do you think it deserves? It's more of a comedy than a drama, though.
It is. They did the same thing with The Martian a few years back, though. Mm-hmm. They put The Martian and it actually won a Golden Globe. What do you think some of these actors are? Do you think some of these guys care about Golden Globe nominations? Do they get more money? They get more recognition, but I know at the end of the day, it's all about March. It's all about the Oscars.
Right. This is just setting up what's to come for the rest of the season. So, Best Performance in a Motion Picture Drama, and I just categorized everything. Let's go ahead and just throw out some fantasy booking.
Okay. Those first 2 categories, I'm picking not what I think is going to win, but what I want to win.
Best Picture Drama, what do you want?
Joker.
I can agree with that. I mean, I have not seen it yet, but don't get me wrong.
And I want Once Upon a Time in Hollywood to win
For comedy musical. Okay. I would like either The Irishman or probably 1917, which I haven't seen 1917 yet, but comedy or musical, I would pick Knives Out. I thought that was incredible.
Really?
It was so good.
I can't wait to see it.
So best performance in a motion picture drama. I did actors and then actresses, so I'm just going to run through them. Christian Bale for Ford vs. Ferrari, which was cool. I'm glad he got nominated. Antonio Banderas for Pain and Glory. Adam Driver for Marriage Story. Joaquin Phoenix for Joker. Jonathan Pryce for The Two Popes.
I'm going to see Marriage Story tonight, actually.
I need to watch it before our next episode.
And then...
what are your picks for best actor?
Joaquin Phoenix. Have you...
I knew you haven't seen Joker, but Christian Bale for Ford vs. Ferrari, Antonio Banderas for Pain and Glory, Adam Driver for Marriage Story, Joaquin Phoenix for Joker, and Jonathan Pryce for The Two Popes.
Ed doesn't get a fucking pick. I'm picking the Joker. I'm picking the Joker on his behalf. He's gonna enjoy the hell out of it.
That's what I say, probably.
Right. I'd say either Joaquin Phoenix or Adam Driver. I heard he's really good in Marriage Story.
Adam Driver just looks funny.
I know, but actresses, Cynthia Erivo for Harriet, which was gone and out of the theater before any of us got a chance to see it. Scarlett Johansson for Marriage Story, Saoirse Ronan for Little Women, Charlize Theron for Bombshell, and my pick is Renee Zellweger for Judy.
Actors.
Actress.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of those. So.
I mean, if you had to pick, what would you pick?
Scarlett Johansson all day.
Scarlett Johansson.
Which actor is nominated from Booksmart?
This is the next category.
Okay.
So this is best performance in a comedy or musical. Daniel Craig for Knives Out. He was fucking awesome in that. Roman Griffin Davis for Jojo Rabbit. Leonardo DiCaprio for Once Upon a Time. Taron Egerton for Rocket Man, and Eddie Murphy for Dolomite Is My Name.
Leo.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pick.
Say Leo.
I would say Leo, but I would want Daniel Craig to win. And then for actress in a comedy or musical, Ana de Armas for Knives Out. She was in Blade Runner 2049 and a couple other things. Awkwafina for The Farewell. Kate Blanchett for Where'd You Go, Bernadette. Benny Fieldsten for Booksmart.
I haven't seen it, but I heard Kate Blanchett is amazing in that movie.
So have I. And Emma Thompson for Late Night. Out of those...
The only one I've seen is Booksmart, but I wouldn't put it past that Kate Blanchett gets it.
I would pick Ana de Armas because she really held her own against Daniel Craig and the whole entire cast. But I've heard Awkwafina is really getting a lot of buzz for that role, for The Farewell.
The one leaders are on sale of Awkwafina.
There you go. So best supporting, man, goddamn, this for the actors it is stacked. So we got Tom Hanks, probably all of us are gonna pick that for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Anthony Hopkins for The Two Popes, Al Pacino and Joe Pesci for The Irishman, and Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time.
Joe Pesci.
You think Joe Pesci?
If I had to
I think it's gonna come down to either Brad or Joe.
If I had to pick a true best supporting actor, it would be Joe Pesci.
Yeah, he was incredible. I think it's going to be either Joe Pesci or Brad, maybe Tom. I don't know.
I'm going to go on Brad Pitt's side.
On Brad Pitt?
Yeah, I don't know.
He was incredible in Once Upon a Time.
To be fair, I have not seen Irishman yet, so
that's all right.
Fair, but yeah.
And then for best supporting performance in a motion picture for female, Kathy Bates for Richard Jewell, which comes out Friday. Annette Bening for The Report, Laura Dern for Marriage Story, Jennifer Lopez for Hustlers, and Margot Robbie for Bombshell.
I already know where you're going.
Speaking of Hustlers,
have you seen it?
That was on my it's gonna be on my recent watches.
Okay.
She's the best part about that movie.
Yeah, I heard she's really good.
She is. Being all serious, like she's really good. If it wasn't for her, dude, I think that movie might be unwatchable. Yeah.
Oh wow. All right. So for best director, we have Bong Joon-ho for Parasite. That was the trailer that we saw for Lighthouse.
That's great.
Sam Mendes for 1917, Todd Phillips for Joker, Martin Scorsese for The Irishman, and Tarantino for Once Upon a Time.
Ooh,
that's a hard.
You talk about stacked.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna throw a dark horse. I think the director from Parasite might. He could possibly walk away, not with the Golden Globe, but I think he could walk away with an Oscar
for best director. Yeah. I could see that because that's just like getting so much.
Because
fuel.
the community, the committee's gonna be like, I can't pick any of them. Let's go with this guy.
I could see my dark horse would be Sam Mendes, just because
he's pretty known. I mean, he's got some good movies.
And then like the whole, I don't know if you've heard about this, but the whole film is set like as one take.
Right.
There's no cuts in or anything.
Yeah. Which is, that in itself is incredible.
Yeah. So, I'm surprised you didn't pick Scorsese for that.
I can't pick between him and Quentin Tarantino. And then what Todd Phillips did with the Joker, like, wow. I'm gonna pick Dark Horse and say the director for The Parasite.
Okay. So best screenplay, Noah Baumbach for Marriage Story. There's 2 writers for The Parasite. They got nominated. Bong Joon-ho and Han Jin-won. Anthony McCartan for Two Popes. Tarantino for Once Upon a Time, and Steven Zallahan for The Irishman.
I think Tarantino will get.
I think he could walk away with that.
Yeah. Nobody writes a script like Tarantino does.
So this is the rant of this part of the episode. Best animated feature.
Oh yeah.
Frozen 2, How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, The Lion King, Missing Link, which I'm glad that got nominated, and Toy Story 4.
I haven't seen Toy Story 4, but I know. I'll go ahead and say I think
Pixar always walks away.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be the winner because that was actually
Hidden
really
Dragon.
good.
I know Hidden Dragon was good, but to go up against Frozen 2 and Toy Story 4,
it's going to be.
I think Toy Story 4 gets it. Hands
yeah,
down.
but last year everyone thought The Incredibles was going to win, but Spider-Man took it.
Well,
into the Spider-Verse.
come on. Spider-Man.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Hold on a second.
I'm agreeing with you.
I know you're agreeing with me, but Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse could easily have been nominated for Best Picture, and it should have been nominated for Best Picture.
I agree, but I mean, like, Pixar always takes the reins of this, but I don't know, man.
Actually,
but how is The Lion King nominated? That's like CGI.
That's true.
Still animation.
Photorealistic CGI.
Still animation. I ain't doing it wrong in all technicality. It is.
I mean, I agree, but disagree with you. But I mean, like.
But if you're gonna if you're gonna snub and call a movie a live action version of a classic, then it's a live action movie, and it shouldn't be nominated with all the other animated movies.
All right. So
I'm picking Toy Story 4. I haven't seen Missing Link, but I bought it over Black Friday. So
I'm gonna do Toy Story 4 or How to Train Your Dragon. Do you guys want to do? Because really, the only things left is original score, original song, and foreign language film.
No.
Okay. So really, the total Netflix took the cake of these nominations because Marriage Story had 6, Irishman had 5, and The Two Popes had 4.
Did Marriage Story get a theatrical release?
I'm sure it did, like out in New York and LA.
See? I actually saw the trailer right before we did the episode on Netflix because I was watching The Conversation with Scorsese, which is fucking amazing.
You saw
if anybody is out there and you've seen The Irishman, check out The Conversation, the dinner-like conversation with Pesci, De Niro, Pacino, and Scorsese. It's fucking amazing.
But speaking of snubs, De Niro didn't get nominated, which is so shitty. He'll get nominated for an Oscar for sure. But I mean, like,
you think?
I think so, yeah.
And then Sandler.
Uncut Gems got completely ignored.
Which, fuck the Golden Globes.
There's our hashtag.
Yeah, hashtag for the next 4 weeks.
And then The Lighthouse didn't get nominated for anything.
Golden Globes fucked up. You know, Netflix probably paid him off.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theories.
It is. But if we're getting ready to get into some recent watches, guys, and if you want to follow some recent watches on the Instagram, check it out. It's the Instagram page. Just one word, Cine-Men Movie Podcast. Then you can find all of our links to all of our shows, email address, phone number, all on the Facebook page at facebook.com/movie reels, REELZ 405, or just Facebook search us, the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. We pop right up. And then you can follow us on the Twitter at Cine-Men405. You can send us email. We got a ton of great emails this week. CINEMEN921, Cine-Men921@gmail.com. And then, Ed, how do they find us on the YouTube page?
Pretty easy. You go to that facebook.com/movie reels, MOVIEREELZ 405. Go ahead and hit the Learn More button. That will transport you to the YouTube channel. And go ahead and like, subscribe, share with your friends. Hit that notification bell to let yourself know whenever we drop an episode, so you can be a part of every single thing we do. All content.
And then we recently have a poll up on the Facebook page. It is from SurveyMonkey. Easy. One click and a multiple choice vote. You get to vote for the December or the January bonus episode. And you can choose between Ready or Not, Bad Boys, or Hobbs and Shaw. Which Hobbs and Shaw, in the emails we got some questions about Hobbs and Shaw. So guys, let's go ahead and talk some recent watches. Zach, have you seen anything good this week?
Not really. I mean, I'm kind of been on the down low. I caught up on Mandalorian. I watched North by Northwest, but probably the most random watch I've seen in a long time. I rewatched the original King Kong from 1933.
Nice.
Incredible film.
Little RKO Studios
Yes.
got you in the mood to watch some.
Yeah.
Mine. I'll kind of rapid fire through these. Last week got me in the mood to watch the Olympus Has Fallen trilogy. I did check those out.
How was Angel without spoilers?
It was good.
Good.
It was a lot better than London Has Fallen.
Yeah,
London Has Fallen has fallen, believe me. And then I finally got to see Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
What'd you think?
I liked it.
Good.
I liked it a lot. It feels like an 80s Goosebumps
Throwback.
movie.
Yeah.
Like almost like Monster Squad.
Mhm.
To where they know they don't want to scare you, but it's still like a,
And it has Guillermo del Toro's touch to it, so.
Yeah, it's really good. I highly recommend it. Probably one of my most underrated films of the year.
Yeah, I would agree.
Same thing with Ready or Not. I didn't think Ready.
I want to watch that so bad. I haven't got a chance to watch it.
I didn't think Ready or Not was going to be that good,
Mm.
but it reminds me of the Belko Experience. If you've seen that.
Oh, okay.
It's good.
Okay.
I checked out Teen Spirit with Ellie Fanning. It's all right. Secret Life Pets 2. I watched it with my daughter. It was pretty good. It's funny. Really, and then I just watched. Oh, I almost forgot. I rewatched Rear Window and Vertigo.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
As far as Rear Window goes, I forgot how good that movie is.
Yeah.
It is amazing. James Stewart is. You know what? I'll probably call that my favorite James Stewart movie now.
Nice.
It was.
That was originally going to be the episode for today, but I wanted to save it for next year.
And then I watched Vertigo, and how I liked James Stewart in the movie, but I didn't really
like his character.
Yeah. It was weird.
Well,
weird movie.
I'll get into it when we talk. So.
And then I watched Hustlers this morning, before North by Northwest, and like I said, it's worth the red box. I ended up getting some digital movies on the Xbox store because they have a sale going on. It's pretty good. What about Ed? Did you check anything out?
Yeah, actually, it's kind of funny that you mentioned Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I did as well.
What'd you think? That's the movie we've all three seen.
Pretty much about the same. I enjoyed it a lot more because, don't get me wrong, there wasn't a ton of gore in it.
Mm-mm.
That was nice.
No.
It was a different use of their time, so that was nice.
Almost felt like a Stranger Things kind of feel to it.
In a way, yes. Yeah. On top of that, you seen everything that was coming, no matter what. It didn't just cheap jump scares. It was nice to have a different change of pace with that. So, I mean, I applaud that one. I like it.
Felt like an old school adult version of a Goosebumps episode.
I mean, I would probably be cool with taking a 10-year-old to see that,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you have a child that's young and doesn't love that kind of stuff.
I gave it an 8.
I think they'd be alright with that. I agree with that. Also checked out The Disaster Artist. I have not fully finished that. I think I've only got like a half hour left, but
what do you think so far?
Funny.
Yeah.
A little odd. A little awkward.
Not terrible, though.
No, not bad at all. I kind of like the exchange that it's the brothers. I love that fact.
Yeah.
That it's James and David Franco. I love that.
James and Dave.
So, I mean, I think that's really cool to see. Let's see. Mandalorian, of course, got back on that. Didn't get back on that, but caught the new episode. So far, I mean, I know that's kind of a weak one, but yeah. So far, that's all I've done this week, at least.
Nice. Yeah, it's not too bad. Again, if you guys want to follow the recent watches, for me at least, you can do so on the Instagram page, which is Cine-Men Movie Podcast. And then we'll get ready to get into our top 5, which, since this movie is so high on the top AFI 100 list, today our top 5 consists. We're going to mix it up, and we're going to rank our favorite top AFI 100 movies of all time.
game. We saw it. We kicked its ass.
Little throwback for the giveaway that we had back in September for the It Chapter 2. All you had to do was guess that movie line. And don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. The giveaway for Star Wars Episode 9 is heading back, and we will have the giveaway on the December 23rd episode. If not the 23rd, then it might be the 30th. So we'll go ahead and let everybody know. But let's get into our top 5 favorite AFI films of all time. There's only 100 to choose from, but it'll be fun. Zach, you want to go first? You got any honorable mentions?
I do. I actually have 7 honorable mentions.
Holy shit!
So many good films on this list. So just rapid through these: Singing in the Rain, Gone with the Wind, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, The Sound of Music, Doctor Strangelove, Schindler's List, and then my official honorable mention, my recent watch, King Kong.
Nice. I'm glad you liked Doctor Strangelove. I like that movie. I only have 3 honorable mentions, and it's going to be The Godfather Part 2, Taxi Driver, and 2001's A Space Odyssey. Ed, you got any honorable mentions? 2.
Saving Private Ryan and Toy Story.
So let's go in. Zach, you wanna give out number 5?
Number 5 for me is going to be, can't really talk about it till here after this, North by Northwest.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that movie.
What's your number 5, Johnny?
My number 5 is going to be one of my favorite Jack Nicholson films of all time, One Flew Over the Cuckoo Nest. You guys seen that movie?
I have, yeah.
Back in class, yeah.
In class? They showed that to you in a movie?
Yeah.
Or in the class?
I saw that in a class too, actually.
Really?
That was a college class, though.
Ed,
high school class.
Really? What class was it?
I think it was English, because we were studying the book. So yeah.
But yeah, it's a joy to me. You guys should go check it out. It's on I think you can watch it for free on Vudu. It's one of those free movies.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Nicholson.
Nurse Ratched.
Yeah, Nurse Ratched. It's just, this is a movie that I think doesn't get enough recognition as many as the older movies. I don't know why, but go check it out.
I think it's kind of been forgotten.
Yeah.
And then when you bring it up to people, they're like, oh yeah.
Yeah. But that's my number 5. It's really one of my favorite films of all time, and it's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Ed, what do you got at 5?
Number 5, if I'm not mistaken, we've actually talked about this one, Rocky. Gotta say, love that film. Think it's a great film. It's just, I thought...
We talk about it all the time, but we haven't done an episode yet.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, you guys did Creed, but yeah.
But yeah, so gotta put props out there for Rocky.
Zach, what do you got at number 4?
Number 4 is, gotta have a little bit of Spielberg on my list. Number 4 for me is E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
I mean, what more could you say about this film other than it's nearly perfect?
If you don't know the story of an extraterrestrial that comes to Earth and plays with a little boy, then...
No.
Did you guys see the new E.T. commercial?
Yeah, the holiday commercial?
Yeah.
Is that really the actor who played?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. How they would waste that much money on a commercial and not a film, I don't know why. You know? But my number 4 is going to be a Martin Scorsese film. And that's Raging Bull. It's the life of Jake Malota and LaMotta, and it also stars Joe Pesci, Kathy Mortery. Favorite film. I can't. This list was so hard what to pick in and what not to pick in, and then once I found my 5, I'm like, who am I putting above who? Raging Bull is awesome for me. Ed, what do you got at number 4?
Number 4, of course, we've already done this one as well. Silence of the Lambs. Yeah. I was
Just
surprised
of
a couple of the movies that were actually on here, but I think it's actually really, really cool just to see which ones are, which ones didn't. So, kind of makes me want to truly know their intention.
I'm going to stop you right there, Zach. Throw down some knowledge on what the AFI is for everybody who don't understand that. Why is there only 100 films, and what really... I mean, even if you don't know, we'll kind of fantasy book on why and how those movies get into the top 100.
So the AFI is the American Film Institute, and so basically, we talked a little bit about on a prior episode about the Library of Congress, how they think they pick films that are culturally significant and are one of the best of all time. The AFI is similar like that. What they did was there were two lists actually. There's a 1997 list and there's a 2007 list. And there are films that have been taken, and I think Shawshank Redemption was one of the ones that was originally on there, but was taken off. I don't know. Don't send the emails to me. But it's kind of like that basically. It's just culturally significant films and American films, and there's actually a criteria of they have to be American, American director, and I don't know what all criteria is all, but I know it has to be an American classic film.
Right.
So I mean, there were some films on there that you're looking through like Intolerance. That's like a 3.5-hour black and white film. You're like, what?
Yeah.
But I don't make the rules, like I said.
Right. Yeah. So if you guys want to check them out, this is actually how I fell in love with some of the older movies.
Mm-hmm.
I was just young, being dumb, and then I just stumbled upon this list. I'm like, ooh, a movie list. And so now, like, it's one of those things that.
And the other thing is, I'm kind of surprised that I thought they would do like every 10 years they update the list, but.
I know that's weird too.
Yeah.
So you just finished off number 3?
Yes, sir.
Zach, what do you got at number? No, you finished number 4.
4.
My bad. Zach, what do you got at 3?
Number 3 is a film that I really hated as a kid, but since I've gotten older, I've really appreciated it a lot more and come to love it. I thought we were going to do an episode on it in November, but I'm sure we'll do it next year. Is The Wizard of Oz?
Oh yeah.
Number 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was going to happen too. But my number 3 is going to be probably my favorite Coen Brothers film, and that's Fargo. I think Fargo is one of those films up there that's near perfect. And if anything, have you guys seen Fargo?
Mm-hmm. No. I like the TV show better than the movie.
Get the fuck out of here, Zach. No, it's I highly recommend it. It's pretty good. I haven't seen the TV show. Everybody tells me I should.
Mm-hmm. It's an anthology, kind of like American Horror Story. And each season has different characters and actors.
Oh, okay.
So.
Do the Coen Brothers have anything like? Do they write any of the scripts or?
I think they're executive producers on it, but they don't write or anything else.
Oh, okay. So yeah, from '96, mine would be Fargo. Number 3 for me. Ed, what do you got at 3?
Number 3, I'm gonna go with a timeless classic, Jaws. We've done an episode over this one, I know. So, yeah, you can review everything we've said about that on the prior episode. Yeah.
Zach, what do you got at number 2?
Number 2, it's probably no surprise. It was, like I said, it was originally supposed to be today's episode, Rear Window. Love it. Love it, love it. And that was one of those films that we saw in, like, an English class, and it was kind of like compare and contrast. But, it's one of those films that, like, in our generation, Disturbia, which is a really good film, by the way. But, I mean, it's
over 10 years old, though.
Yeah. It's one of those films that, that's their equivalent of that.
Yeah.
So.
My number 2 is going to be Network.
I've actually never seen that.
From 1976, starring Faye Dunaway, William Holden, Peter Finch, Robert Duvall. It's really, really good. A television network anchor exploits a former anchor's ravings, and yeah, I don't know what the hell that was, but it's one of those movies that I never had the desire to see, and then once I seen it, because obviously the reason I watched it was because Joker got so much
praise for it.
Praise. Yeah, well.
It's kind of similar to that.
Yeah, it's really similar. So when I ended up seeing it, I'm like, I fell in love with it. It was probably it's probably closing in one of my top 10 films of my personal list.
Did you watch that for the first time this year after you saw Joker?
Network?
Yeah. Okay.
And since I bought it in I bought it in August when the comparisons started coming out, and I've seen it like 3 times.
Oh, wow.
Makes me want to watch it again.
Okay.
Ed, what do you got at number 2?
Number 2, I mean, it shouldn't be a surprise to many people. If you've seen this list, then you know me. Pulp Fiction. Of course, the classic. To me, it's a timeless classic. but I like language, so yeah.
Pulp Fiction on you. Zach, what do you got at number 1?
Number 1 for me is personally one of my favorite movies of all time. Well, so is Rear Window, but like, depending on what day you ask me, it always bounces back between this one and 2 other films. But I mean, it's very high up in the list, and I understand why. And I'm not anyone that wants to go against me. That's fine. Number 1 for me is Casablanca.
Nice.
So.
Yeah. What number is it?
It's like number
top 5, isn't it?
It's like Citizen Kane. It's like number 3, Citizen Kane, Godfather, and Casablanca.
Hey, you just named off my number 1.
I know what your number 1 was.
My number 1 is going to be The Godfather. Let's compare and contrast, guys. If you want to sit through a beautiful 3-hour film and you just got done watching The Irishman and you liked it and you've never seen The Godfather, go sit down and blow your mind off because it's good. It's my favorite movie of all time. What were you going to say?
Well, I mean, if you want to sit through 3.5 hours of The Irishman and then go through another 3 hours, please.
Hey, it's only 6 hours.
Yeah.
Less than a hard day's worth of work.
There you go.
I mean, not even a fourth of, just over a fourth of your day, if that.
Basically.
Ed, what do you got number 1?
God damn, okay. Shit.
Ed,
yeah.
What do you got number 1, Ed?
What?
Ed, number 1?
Number one? Alright, so without further ado, with me at least, Disney's making fucking bank off of it. And people are about to see the last, and this is the one that started it all, Star Wars 1977. Gotta love that, man. Made 3 people have some of the biggest names in film history. Literally. I mean, if you can't recognize Mark Hamill, you're sure as hell gonna recognize Luke Skywalker. I mean, if you can't recognize,
Honestly, you'd be surprised how many people don't know who Mark Hamill is.
Right, but I mean, don't get me wrong, you're gonna know who Luke is, or at least Darth Vader.
Darth Vader, like,
literally is almost universally known, so, yeah. Star Wars, number 1.
And that wraps up this week's top 5. Next week, if you guys want to play along for Star Wars The Last Jedi, we're going to talk our top 5 overrated films. So, should be a fun episode next week. But guys, this week we are talking North by Northwest. It is directed by Alfred Hitchcock. It had a theatrical release of July the 1st, 1959. The budget was $4.3 million, and then it made $9.8 million at the box office. So Zach, why don't you tell everybody why and how this episode came about?
Yeah.
Don't arrest me. So if you guys started listening with Johnny and Ed, it was like September of last year? It was probably when you guys started.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so this coming Sunday or Saturday or Sunday is my actually 1-year anniversary of joining the podcast. And so they were just like, you can pick a movie, or Johnny was. Ed was just like, hey, you. No, they said pick a movie, and I was just like, you know what? You guys did Psycho last year, and so I was just like, let's do another. I was like, how about another Hitchcock film? And I was like, let's do North by Northwest, and Johnny was on board, and Ed, you've never seen it, so it was kind of like a 2 for 2, basically. So yeah, that's basically why we're doing North by Northwest. You've seen it before, Ed? You hadn't.
This is his first viewing, but. North by Northwest stars Cary Grant as Roger Thornhill, Eva Marie Saint as Eve Kendall, James Mason as Philip Van Damme, Leo Carl as the Professor, Philip Ober as Lester Townsend, the great Martin Landau as Leonard, and then again it's directed by the great Alfred Hitchcock. We got some stuff I want to get into this movie for, but first, let's go ahead and do round table. Zach, we'll start with you. This is your pick. What first thoughts when you very first watched the film, and then what was it like revisiting it for this podcast?
First time I saw it, this is actually my very first Hitchcock film I've ever seen. I think I was like in high school, One of those like I was on fall break or Christmas or whatever. Got it from the library. Thought it was really really good, and I feel like each time I watch it, I like it a lot more. And this especially on this last rewatch, I love it.
My first watch was in a film class. Got to tell you, the very first time I seen it, I wasn't a big fan of it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really slow paced, and I'm like, I feel like I'm watching a. This was before I knew nothing. It's like I feel like I'm watching a cheap knockoff of a James Bond flick. And then I watched it 3 times this week. This is actually that was the first time I seen it. Was probably almost 7-8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't picked it up since. And then I rewatched it for this episode, and watched it last Monday, Friday night at work, and then this afternoon. And as I think that it's got some kind of pacing issues, I don't know why it had to be 2 hours and 15 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is probably something that can maybe be an hour and 45 minutes. Some parts were just nonsense to me, but after going and looking at some of the reasonings why, or some of the making of, like that's on the disc,
mm-hmm.
And then I checked out some podcasts and see what they thought about it, and be like, you know what, I'm gonna listen to this and check it out one more time. And it's still a little slow to me, but overall I enjoyed it. But we'll talk some of the other reasonings why. Ed, what about you?
I gotta say, I mean, like I said, I've never seen a Bond movie before, but I can understand why you compare and contrast with that. Overall, it's not bad of a film. It's a nice touch, nice little part of a resume for that matter, definitely. I've heard people call it the best of what Hitchcock has ever done. You know, so.
To me, this isn't, at least the way I feel, it's not my favorite Hitchcock film, but it definitely is. I can see why it's considered one of his best.
Mm-hmm. It's usually in like maybe top 3, always in the Hitchcock canon, basically.
I do like the opening, the way the movie opened with and I heard it was ahead of its time, the way the opening credits was,
mm-hmm.
with that song, that score from, I will say the score is pretty good. I really enjoyed the score. And then right before you see Alfred Hitchcock himself trying to get on the bus.
Yeah. It's called kinetic typography.
Right.
Basically, it's moving credits that we see it all the time.
They
now.
they look like almost like trains or something,
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed that. I thought it was a pretty good opening.
And I think it was smart that they went and got done with the Hitchcock cameo, because everyone, when you watch his films, you always got to figure out where he's at. And they said on the bonus features that it became such a distraction that people were not focusing on the movie. And so Hitchcock was like, you know what, let me just go ahead and get it over with. And he just misses the bus.
Yeah, the way it starts off and he gets abducted, I think it's... what did I talk to you about earlier? I said it was really felt like a spy espionage movie. So, yeah, it's good. What about you? What do you like? Some of the favorite? Like the way the movie opens?
Mm-hmm.
You enjoy?
Yeah, I think it's a good setup. It's basically a form of mistaken identity.
Yeah.
And so, Cary Grant gets taken on this adventure that he necessarily didn't want, but I mean.
Well, I don't truly know if it's a mistaken identity, because there is no George Kaplan, so.
Right, but I mean, like when they say George Kaplan, he raises his hand, or.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was just like right here, and then the agents are just like.
And he was trying to go ahead and get the waiters.
The waiters. Yeah, that's right.
Yep, because he was having, I think, a meeting.
He was having a meeting with like executives or something, and I think he just wanted to order a drink, and that's how it got going.
Yep.
I will say my favorite part about this movie is the cinematography, and the way Hitchcock almost makes you feel like you're in the movie through some of the different scenes, and we'll talk about that.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but I can understand why, like, after you get past the abduction scene and you get to the drunk car chase, you could say, that's probably when the movie kind of really picks up from there. But I can understand why someone could say in the beginning it is kind of slow.
Let's talk about Eve.
Oh.
When I saw this movie, I'm like, that's probably one of the prettiest actresses I've ever seen from the, like, what you would call the golden age of Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and she's not introduced until like maybe 45 minutes into the movie, and she's in like the second part. But I think her and Cary Grant have extraordinary chemistry.
Yeah.
That dude's super tan though.
Yeah, Hitchcock he was very well known to being into blondes. Eva Marie Saint and Grace Kelly were really the two big ones.
His Hollywood blondes.
Yes. And then there's a lot of controversy about that, about like, was there sexual harassment during this time or anything like that. But I mean, like, he knows how to cast these characters.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, one of the strong suits of Hitchcock. And because originally, I don't know if you probably saw the same documentary I did. So they originally wanted James Stewart for the role.
Yeah. But what did they find? He was a little too hefty, wasn't he? Yeah.
And Cary Grant was kind of more like a cool, laid-back character, and that fit.
I do want to say, like, when you, Ed, were talking about James Bond earlier, I think this did give MGM an idea, or the idea of James Bond, because it wasn't shortly after this that they started pushing out James Bond movies.
Yeah, because Dr. No, I think, is like 61 or something like that.
And they actually wanted Alfred Hitchcock to do a James Bond movie, and he didn't. Yeah, he didn't. He turned them all down. This is the film right before he did Psycho, though, right?
Yeah.
Or is it Vertigo?
No, it's Psycho, because Hitchcock at this point was like, he's kind of like a Spielberg or maybe even a Scorsese. He just had hit after hit after hit. He had like Rear Window, Vertigo, and then North by Northwest. The next film was Psycho, and then The Birds kind of was like the end of his reign. And then he did like, I really don't know any of the other films afterwards, but they didn't just have the same impact as the other ones did.
So it's being fit that this movie was only nominated for like 3 Oscars at the time, and they're not even really big.
No, I mean, it was Best Film Editing, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Art Direction Color, which in today's term is basically Best Production Design.
Like how Alfred Hitchcock as a whole, I like how he does put you in the movie and a lot of his point of view shots, which to me are good. Anytime involving a vehicle in this movie, I think those are some of the best scenes.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the
whole train sequence with Carrie and what was her name?
It's very
Eva.
This is really a very heavy sexual innuendo film.
Well, one of the other things about Hitchcock is he had a very blue sense of humor, and they were just like, when you watch it now, there are like sexual innuendos everywhere.
Yeah. And then they even, like, did you see, I think it was a special feature on the disc, but they said that they voice overed her saying she doesn't talk about making love on an empty stomach or something like that. They took that out.
Well, because like when I watched it this last time, I was like, did they ad-lib that? Like, and then, it sure enough.
Ed, what do you got some thoughts about some of these scenes? What did you think about, after he got abducted and, they attempted to put the full bottle of liquor in him?
Oh, my God. That one. How would your kidneys not shut down? Your liver, but hey, I thought, okay, so it kind of almost feels like this set up a lot of different things for kind of how stories would start taking place for at least 20, 30 years.
Explain.
You get the whole feel of, okay, this guy gets drugged or gets, forced to get drunk and all that good stuff, goes to the police or gets arrested eventually because he does something that they don't expect, and kind of shadows, or not really shadows, but kind of comes out on the greener side of the pasture and comes up quick to try and get the law on his side and do the right thing and all this junk, and then all of a sudden goes back, leads them literally back to the crime scene, 100% literally. And nothing is there.
Do you guys think it was meant, like, looking at it now some odd years later, a lot of years later, do you think it was meant to be as funny as it kind of seems now?
No.
No?
I don't think they meant like that, but that just.
What about you? Did you get some, did you get some kind of funny moments when you were watching it this last time?
Yeah, probably the biggest one for me was the auction scene.
Yeah.
Where he just started like raving off like $2, $3, just like, sir, you're being disruptive.
Or when he had the recent call that he had to call one phone call and he called his mom.
Yeah.
And he was just like, they've poured a bottle of bourbon in me.
Yeah, I mean, they may have, but I mean, like, I think it may have been played as comedy, but like, you know, it could have been taken seriously though.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, his mom was gunning for him, basically. Like, she did not want to be on his side at all.
I like, did you see in the documentary it was supposed to be called The Man in Lincoln's Nose?
Yeah.
That's pretty funny, actually.
It would have been that would have been like the spoof edition of this, basically. But no, let's talk about one of probably the most epic sequences of the film is the crop duster scene.
Yeah.
You know, in all the times in the Oscar montage or whatever, it's always him running away from the plane, that sequence. It's interesting that
wasn't that just like a screen behind him?
Part of it is that they did shoot on location out in California, out in the desert. Parts of it is him actually running away, but one of the scenes where he drops down and like in this little creek, I guess you would say, that was on a sound stage.
Oh, okay.
And then there was like rear projection behind him of the plane.
That's pretty crazy. Because I mean, don't get me wrong, it does kind of make me happy when they use stuff like that, as in the real scenario, if you will.
Practical effects.
Basically.
Yeah.
Because I mean, CGI is cool, but when you're actually shooting with a plane or whatever have you coming at somebody, and you trust that pilot enough with not only your shot and your equipment and all that, but with a person's life for that matter. And I mean, no matter if it's just the newest person on the block or, you know, Clark Gable, Cary Grant, Brad Pitt, whoever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's a pretty cool thing and a pretty cool way to trust somebody.
Yeah.
So, and I've got to say, on that scene when it crashed into the tanker and then it all of a sudden caught on fire, I loved how the two drivers are literally just running their ass off, and he's kind of just like, oh, maybe I should go too. And he kind of just dawdles around.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, if that was really about to blow up, you would have been dead, or at least burned.
Well, I mean that was a real, you know.
Well, I mean, if it was about to blow
practical.
up.
Yeah, right.
It's just like, wow.
What other kind of notes did you got for us, Zach? As far, I mean, this is your
my
pride
film,
and joy.
I know. Let's see. I thought it's interesting that they set up Eve as to be on his side, but the whole time it's revealed that she is a double agent, but even more of a double agent. He thinks she's working for Van Damme, but she's actually an agent of the FBI or CIA or something like that. I thought that was a cool twist. That you kept thinking of whose side is she really on, and so I mean Eva Marie's saying she played that perfectly. So
I did like some of the shots, like like the building shot that was seen way above as he was getting into the taxi at the beginning of the movie. Some of those shots were just like brilliant for its time.
Right. And then the probably the other big sequence of the film is the Mount Rushmore sequence.
Yeah.
They obviously they weren't allowed to shoot up there, so that was part of it was a set that, you know, they were just hanging on like off of what you think is a cliff, but it was just like a drop you could just like step down off of, and then rear projection of like to make it look like it is like a 50-foot drop or whatever. And then another fun fact is that when he goes to the UN, the United Nations building, he wasn't allowed to film that either. And so basically they had to shoot in like a cleaner van basically, and they showed him when Cary Grant goes up the steps and there's actually like security guards. That's all real. And so they basically had to film that from that angle because they weren't allowed to film in the United Nations building.
Talking about that scene in the United Nations or UN, I kind of find it funny how that does mirror society today. As in, you know, media always only gets part of the story, not the full story. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, the wielder of the knife put on gloves, threw the knife.
Yeah.
One thing that pissed me off with him is that his first reaction is to automatically grab the knife. Dumbest thing you could ever do. Legitly the dumbest thing he ever did. You know, but, I mean, I guess it makes for a good story or something like that. You know, whatever. But
I kind of felt like you had some nitpicks about this movie, Ed. Like while we were watching it, like you kind of maybe didn't seem like you were all there for it.
I mean, it was here or there, but you could tell just a lot of the different, like you could not automatically, but after a minute you could actually tell that the one guy was not Townsend. You could tell 100% because, I mean, don't get me wrong, why would you do that kind of business on your own home turf, your own home, property? I mean, don't get me wrong, they had to go ahead and set it up really quickly for that matter. And, well, I mean, set the home up is what I mean. They had to go ahead and set up like the bottles of liquor and different stuff like that. And then reset it up to what it originally was. On top of that, like I just said, with grabbing the knife, probably one of the dumbest things you could ever do. However, I guess I can let that go since, kind of seeing a person get killed in front of you would probably be a pretty nasty experience. Knowing that you're on the run from different people that are actually trying to find you and murder you would be a stressful situation. But yeah, there was a ton of different things that were that was pretty cool about it.
And this movie wasn't originally shot in black and white, was it? It was one of his first colored films, right?
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like the other two films before that, Vertigo and Rear Window, they're in color as well. Yeah. But it's interesting that like he had such success with color that his next film Psycho is in black and white.
Probably, I honestly probably think that's all due to the blood situation. The blood.
Truthful, yeah. But I mean, like, I don't think if that movie was in color, I don't think it would have had like garnered the status that it is today.
Yeah, you could say that for sure. The cast I thought was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed Cary Grant, but I don't think I enjoyed him as much as I do Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. And I've seen this movie like several times. I did not know that was Martin Landau.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was my first like, oh, I didn't know he was in this.
Yeah, there's actually a funny story about Martin Landau. I guess he had like a suit, and his suit was more expensive and looked way better than Cary Grant's suit. So like Cary Grant had beef with him and told him that he shouldn't wear that suit because it would make the A-list star look a little bit less fancier, I guess.
Yeah.
So apparently they had beef on set. So.
Yeah. He should have shown up in his Sunday best instead of his Wednesday whatever.
Or just got out of the desert being chased by a plane.
Other than that, what do you think about the after the drunk scene, you have him taking everybody back to the house,
mm-hmm.
and everything's completely like not touched.
This isn't what it is, but I know what it is.
Like Zach said, some people have issues with the pacing film or the way the movie is. As far as you go, like, did you enjoy the pacing of the movie, the length, or?
I mean, the pacing was fine, for me at least. I didn't mind that at all. It's just that kind of brings you back to being a kid. When, you try and tell your parents you didn't do something, they think you did. In reality, they probably did it. They just don't remember. And you still get in trouble anyways. Like, that's kind of what it all...
Basically,
that happened to me many times. So it kind of what it's reminding me of, at least for that matter. But yeah, I thought it was just well done. Simply as, the practical effects situation, because pretty much you've got to think about this. They're turning a house around and using it to their advantage and to their will and all that good junk. Of a man that's not at home, that probably hasn't been at home for at least a few days, at least. So, I mean, they got a lot of time to redo it, but it still was just kind of like, damn, okay, they actually made him look 100% like a fool,
After the train sequence, Zach, when Cary Grant's character and Eve gets off the train, that next sequence for you, what is that like? I mean, you go from such a really fantastic sequence,
mm-hmm.
and then you go to the next one, and you're kind of just like, what did you think? Like, were you kind of let down? Like, do you enjoy the entire aspect of the movie?
No, I enjoy the entire aspect. I could see how Because like if this was your first time watching it, Ed, you would think, oh, she is the rat, you could say, working for Van Damme. But then like further on to the film, after kind of the true what's truly going on, they reveal that she's actually CIA and they got to get her out of there before she gets made. I mean, that I think to me is like what also makes the film.
Ed, you kind of called it at the beginning. You kind of felt like you knew what was going on when the movie just ended. Did you kind of like, oh, I see what's going on here? Or did it throw you for a loop a little bit, or?
So okay, I knew something was a little off, but I didn't know what. Then after the scene, what was it? I think after the scene when they got back into the crime scene and showed and all that.
When they were questioning them, like, how much have you had to drink and all that?
Yeah, and then he's shown them, and there were books there instead of the alcohol bottles and all that good stuff. I was just like, okay, he's not Townsend. Like, there's no way in hell that guy's Townsend. Townsend, they probably have already killed. I'm like, they already think he's someone he's not. I'm going, this is... Because it was either like, there's two scenarios here. A, this guy's not Townsend, and... you know, what they've killed the owner already, or B, he's actually Casey Grant is actually George Kaplan just trying to play it off, or that he forgot, you know, like a
he got so invested in the role.
Well, not just that, but like a dormant Russian Russian spy or something, you know,
right.
kind of crap. And, you know, North by Northwest was his code word or code phrase to activate,
right,
if you will.
Right.
But, you know, I knew something was off, so I was kind of happy to see that I got somewhat right. But, yeah, definitely just an overall good couple scenes right there, just because you got the car, and I thought he did really well with that, with the drunk car scene. I thought he had at least, you know, probably has been drunk, because, I mean, that's the only way you can truly know how to act, you know, drunk for that matter. So the car shots, how it played with the windshield, you know, you kind of went back from transitions of, you know, a straight road to a curved road and all that. I thought that was really kind of a good thing, because it does kind of mimic that, as well as how light can affect your eyes, and sometimes it affects it weirdly.
Well, and they did such a good job of playing up the idea that he's about to run off the road, or run off the cliff or something.
Yeah, into the
ocean or
lake or whatever it was.
So Zach, we're gonna kind of, and Ed, if you want to jump in, I don't know how many Hitchcock movies you've seen, even if it's just what we've covered, Psycho and North by Northwest.
I think just two.
Zach, what would be your placement of some of your favorite Hitchcock films? Whether you do a random 3 or 5, starting with 1, the best, and, you know.
I mean, if I had to pick,
is this your absolute favorite Hitchcock film?
It's in my top 3.
Yeah.
I put Rear Window, North by Northwest, Psycho, To Catch a Thief, and then probably The Birds.
The Birds
would be in my top 5. I haven't seen The Birds in forever. I really want to rewatch it.
Yeah. If I had to pick my top, my favorite would be Rear Window, Psycho. I would probably put North by Northwest maybe 4. And then
I think Psycho is. You like Dial for Murder?
Dial in for Murder.
I love Grace Kelly, but that movie's like so slow to me.
Yeah.
For some reason.
I would put North by Northwest and then Dial in for Murder. Yeah. And then Psycho.
But I've also seen. So I haven't seen I don't think I've seen any of his silent films. I have one of them on Criterion, but
nice.
But I haven't got a chance to watch it yet.
Ed, would you pick Psycho over this?
Yeah, I mean I would. Honestly, I just like Psycho quite a bit personally. So yeah, I'd put this just under Psycho.
Really, you enjoyed it that much?
Oh,
we'll get there.
You'll get there.
I just think Psycho. It's become too easy to mock, in that like everyone knows the twist of Norman Bates and everything.
But you know what makes it so good is he tells a really good story in a certain amount of time, and then even though you know the twist at the end, it's the score,
the haunting of it.
Yeah, it's
the
score,
yeah,
and then it's just knowing that he's that twisted to where he would,
he wasn't hurting a fly.
Yeah,
right.
So you guys can actually check out the Psycho episode because we talked all about Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho on episode 1. You guys can find it on Podbean, Spotify, YouTube, and yeah. So.
But I think it's interesting in that, like, when North by Northwest finally was released, everyone kept asking, like, hey, what are you gonna do next? And so I don't think he really had an idea, but then, like, he made Psycho and probably one of the most, maybe top 3 influential films of all time.
Do you think North by Northwest ages well if you're not an old school film fan?
There's aspects of it I think that ages real well, but those others, like what you said, the pacing of it it can get draining. Like, since I've seen it multiple times, I didn't mind it. But for someone like it, did you think it was slow in aspects and parts of it?
I mean, in parts compared to some films that you have today, yes. Definitely a decent film, though. I mean, honestly, you can feel,
like, you can understand why this is like top 100 films.
Yeah, and then you can also see different people who have taken small little things. I mean, I know we keep mentioning it, but like the James Bond movies and all that different
You're
stuff.
about to lose your V card. Or we're about to pop your cherry next month because you've never seen a James Bond movie.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're gonna take you to town, buy a couple drinks, and we're gonna lay you down, and we're gonna pop some James Bond in you. We're ready. And I think.
I mean, it kind of actually.
But I do think. Cut you off there for a minute. I do think that it's awesome that we're starting with the Daniel Craig movies.
Yeah.
Because like Dr. No or some of the old school James Bond movies, they have pacing issues and some of it doesn't age very well.
Right.
And you can probably take that 2-hour and 20-minute James Bond movie and turn it into an hour and 45 and be okay with it. So I think that to keep your attention, you have great attention anyway, but like I'm really happy that it's the Casino Royale that we're starting off with, because I started the old James Bond movies a few weeks ago.
Are you going through all of them?
Oh, no, God. I'm going to pick some. I'm going to pick certain ones. I don't know about the Roger Moore ones, even though people probably hate me for this, but some of my top Bonds would probably be Brosnan, Craig, and
Connery.
Sean Connery's the best.
I mean, honestly, since I haven't seen any of the Bond films, you can actually tell a few different little things. And I know you're gonna hate me for this, but with the Austin Powers films, yeah, I know you're gonna hate me.
You're comparing North by Northwest to Austin Powers?
No, not really comparing, truthfully, but you can tell, because
where the inspiration came from.
Yeah, because I mean, essentially, I think Austin Powers is a somewhat, because I mean, it's a few different movies.
Well, I also feel like if you don't have North by Northwest, I don't think MGM ever gets the idea of maybe James Bond.
Right.
I don't think we see James Bond unless it wasn't for North by Northwest.
I'm going to disagree with you just because 007 are based off of books. I think it eventually the studio would have gone to them for material.
I think what he's more than likely saying is because you've got so many movies.
I don't think they would have jumped straight to movies.
But I think I don't think it had been the success of North by Northwest. I don't think 007 would have existed.
Because I mean, there's a lot of good books out there that probably won't ever see the light of film. I mean, in all honesty.
And we're okay with that.
Some of them, yeah. But I mean, it's just look how long it truly took. And I know they had cartoons and all that good stuff. But look how long it did truly take Lord of the Rings to get on film. Because they didn't do that with Wizard of Oz and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't try that. So.
Well, Wizard of Oz did take a little bit for a successful film. It took about 20-30 years.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But I mean, like, in the aspect of, like, okay, we can take this type of material. We can take Lord of the Rings and turn it into 3 huge films. We can take the Wizard of Oz and make it into a classic.
But you also have to look at the budgets in between times.
Yeah.
Right. Well, That's a terrible example. What Lord of the Rings had is not what the Wizard of Oz had.
Oh, way.
So,
No way.
if a better comparison is the Wizard of Oz and the original King Kong. That probably would have been more apt.
Speaking of, have you seen the new teaser of Kong versus Godzilla?
Yeah.
There's like a new screenshot of the recent movie, and it looks pretty good.
Of them fighting on a aircraft carrier.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
I'm kind of glad that the movie. Well, I'm not glad.
Someone grew up.
Oh boy.
You can say it on air.
Like someone grew up a lot.
Yeah.
Like Kong is fucking
huge.
Massive.
I'm kind of glad that they pushed it back to November of next year.
I'm gonna probably rewatch Skull Island this week. I recently, a few months ago, got it on the 4K. So
I actually enjoy Skull Island quite a bit. It does make you hate Samuel L. Jackson though.
There's been some movies in there that I hate him in. Shaft will recently be a recent watch soon because since I didn't want to pay full price for it, so I got it on Black Friday. So, but yeah, what would you guys pick as far as maybe some favorite scenes? If you want to guys get to that, I'm just gonna throw rapid fire 2 scenes. One is gonna be the drunken scene where he's not trying to crash the car. And then the other one would be just the whole train sequence.
Yeah. I picked the train. I picked the train sequence and the crop dusting scene.
Yeah, I've got to agree with the train scene. That was a really, really good one. I've also got to say that I liked the Mount Rushmore one. I thought that was pretty cool. I know it wasn't the true Mount Rushmore, but kind of seeing a scene from a place that I've actually been before. That's pretty cool right there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna say that, and I mean the drunk drive. That was a really good
comedic / serious moment.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, on top of that, good camera angles, good camera tricks, and all that. So I've got to say those 3 I did enjoy the most out of this movie. Thought they were really, really nice, really good. So yeah.
That's another compliment. That's another compliment I like to give the film is just the camera work. There's like so many good where he placed the camera in order to get that shot or to get that feeling of intimacy or closeness or fear or whatever.
Which, I mean, when I was younger, I never understood that, understood that reference, because a lot of people, in film would always say it's camera angle, it's camera angle, they do wonders, you can do so much, and I'm just like...
You can tell a lot by just one shot.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just like, you point and shoot, When I was younger, I was just like, you point and shoot, like, what? And, as I've grown quite a bit, it's been a big thing to learn. And I'm not saying I could do it. I'm just saying, you understand what they're talking about when they actually reference.
That's why you see most directors or most even
cinematographers.
Yeah, they won't see the shots or see the scenes from their point of view. Like they'll be watching it from a monitor.
Right.
They have to see it from the audience's point of view.
Because I can understand if like all 3 of us read the script and then like I have a vision, you have a vision, Johnny, you have a vision, and then you could cut. We could shoot the same scene, but we could cut it in different ways in order to get the same
effect,
theme. Yeah.
Because I mean, that's even with lighting. For that matter, lighting makes a hell of a difference on a lot of different film sets. Just because, like, if I'm not mistaken, with Signs, they used a lot of different color film to see through or color lenses. I'm sorry, colored lenses. So when you see most of the night sequences with the actors and actresses and all that, it's pretty much the daytime. They're just filming with a dark lens covering the actual lens, so it'll make it look like a transition of day to night.
Well, there's a lot of filmmakers that just prefer like composed light, meaning that they can use it to their advantage. But there's also something beautiful in the usage of like natural light.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to like use properly.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, when you do find the ones who know how, it's a thing that's just amazing. And you never, and I mean, not going through film school, I'm not a cinematographer, or I'm not really.
But you're a film junkie.
But
you understand what you like in a movie.
Yeah.
You understand what works for you and what doesn't work for you.
It's crazy.
One thing I will say, like, you know, everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody, you know, if your thing is, you know, DC and Marvel and Star Wars, or, you know, action movies or Hobbs and Shaw, Fast and Furious, you're gonna become not really perfect critiquer, but you're gonna become a fan of what you watch.
Right.
And when it comes to something like this, even if you're not a fan of it, I think you should at least try to watch it once.
Yeah.
Because this is one of those movies that, like, you know, we talked about it earlier. It's on the AFI list. If you like movies in general, or if you're you're a fan film or a film fan, or like a fan junkie, especially if you listen to this podcast. And thank you, by the way, for listening to 3 random Oklahoma dudes talking about movies.
It's an acquired taste.
Yeah, it's almost like an expensive restaurant dinner.
Mm-hmm.
You may not like it, and it might be a little overpriced for you, but you at least have to try it once.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So
that's the best way I think I could put it.
I mean, been there, done that.
Yeah.
Literally.
So, let's give some star ratings, guys. This is considered one of the greatest Hitchcock movies of all time. I'll throw mine out there as if this isn't going to be the first movie I choose if I want to sit down and watch a classic movie.
Right.
This isn't going to be the first movie I choose if I want to watch a Hitchcock movie, but just studying it this week, watching it 3 times this week, and just getting to know the characters, I got to give it a 9. Like I said, this isn't going to be one of those movies that I watch every single day, or I may not even visit it once a year. But from what I saw those 3 viewings, it's a classic. I mean, it is what it is, whether I hate it or like it. At this point, I do like it. I respect it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Zach, what about you?
Should be no surprise. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Love it. It's one of my favorite Hitchcock films.
Nice.
Ed? Dick, Jesus Christ.
You're good. What do you think about it?
You're good. You're good.
Okay. You're gonna fucking hate me. I'm gonna give it a 6. Only on the basis that, and honestly, from your summary, Johnny, one, I'm gonna kind of seem like a dick too, but I'm gonna give it a 6 on the basis that I'm probably not gonna watch this ever again. Because I mean, if I think Alfred Hitchcock, it's gonna be Psycho, and I'm not the biggest person. For some reason, TV series I'll watch in black and white any time, but movies I don't know. It just doesn't grab me all the way. But I know this isn't black and white. This is one of the older ones, and for some reason it's the same way. But I damn.
No, you're good. I want you to. Just explain. Like, you don't have to love. You don't have to love everything you do. If it's one of those movies, if it's a movie to you that you just wasn't like a fan of, if it just bored you, and you can kind of see right through it. I mean, heck.
I mean, yeah, that last one could kind of explain.
I will say that the only thing I didn't like about it, that I didn't have any nitpicks in it. The only thing I really didn't like about it was the abrupt, weird ass ending.
The sexual innuendo.
Well,
ending.
not only the train going through the tunnel, but him reaching down and picking her up, and then they end up in the bed. It was kind of just, out of nowhere. But it felt like it was climbing and climbing to a good climax, and then it's just.
Oh no, they're gonna have sex.
Yeah.
That's the end of the movie.
They're gonna fuck.
It's that climax when you're embarrassed.
Well, with that, guys, you want to hit up some emails?
Yeah,
I guess we have some innuendos too.
We'll try some emails here. By the way, I want to say thank you everybody for reaching out, send us some emails. You can do that at CINEMEN Cine-Men921 @gmail.com. Or you can just find us on the Facebook at facebook.com/movie reels REELZ 405, or just Facebook search the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. We'll go ahead and read off some emails. This one is from Nick. I love It's a Wonderful Life, but I have to say the colorized version is not my favorite. Always enjoy the black and white version. If I could ask you guys, what is your favorite so-called golden age film of Hollywood? This is like not up your alley. You don't really enjoy a lot of older movies, but
I mean, I would probably say Psycho then, to be fully honest.
What about you, Zach?
Probably one of my top fives, Casablanca or Rear Window.
Casablanca. I would probably have to say
Gone with the Wind.
Well, okay. Help me. What defines golden age? Is it 50 to 70?
It's like the 40. You could say the late 30s to like the 70s.
I mean,
60s maybe.
I could even then say To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah, that would be golden age.
I would.
That would qualify.
Maybe The Graduate, Dustin Hoffman.
It's right outside the window, but I mean, if you consider that, that's fine.
That's one of the ones that come to mind. Or One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is a little too older. In the Heat of the Night, I enjoyed the.
Yeah,
in the heat
I
of
think
the
that
night.
would qualify. Yeah, that would qualify.
Sarah 97. What makes Alfred Hitchcock's movies to you guys stand out in your eyes?
You can see the inspiration for a lot of filmmakers after, I mean, don't get me wrong, probably even after he's passed, years for that matter, but he's inspired several different writers, filmmakers, directors, any of that to make different genres, of course, but so many different film franchises as well as just in itself different characters and junk like that. So, I mean, when you've got a guy that is considered, a pre-Spielberg kind of Spielberg in a way, and then inspires so many different after that, that's pretty big.
What about you, Zach?
Pay respects.
Like, he's one of your favorite all-time directors. You've seen a lot of his movies.
Mm-hmm.
What makes him stand out compared to, like, another director from that day and age? Maybe like a Coppola or, an early Francis Ford Coppola or, some of those guys.
It's just storytelling aspects, whether it be the visuals, the characters, the actual story, whether it be a cross-dressing person kills someone viciously in a bathroom, or someone that thinks that their neighbor is a murderer.
Well, you know what I was going to say? I noticed he didn't write a lot of his movies.
No.
But I did notice that when you see an Alfred Hitchcock film, to me, one, it's going to be the score.
Yes.
Even though, I mean, he still picks his music, and even though he's not the fucking composer, he still picks it. It's the score for me. The point of view angles in all of his movies are awesome, and then just the cast. I think you can tell a movie just by the cast if it's a Hitchcock film.
Yeah, and I mean, and most of the time they are thrillers.
Yeah.
But I think each one of them is different in its own way.
Yeah, that's true. Sam G69 recently listened to the Irishman episode. I myself enjoyed it, but what is y'all's take on 3-hour films? Are they overrated, or do you think they don't get taken for advantage of anymore?
I think we've kind of passed the age of 3 hour, other than Endgame and obviously this one, but we maybe get like a 3-hour film maybe once a year now. I mean an actual 3 hour, not 2 hours and 40 or anything like that, but 3+ films, 3 hour and 3+ films. It's just so rare that I think that if they're done correctly, they can be, epics.
Yeah.
Like they used to be.
Yeah.
I kind of think they're overrated, to be fully honest. Just because not everybody wants to spend 3 hours just sitting there and looking up at a screen and either getting their eyeballs blitzed by random lights, or, which brings me up to another point. Apparently, if you have epilepsy, the Star Wars 9 might not be the best thing for
Go
you.
see Frozen 2.
But hey, but I mean, on top of that, most people do sequels now instead. Do an hour and 55-minute movie, and
That's
then
true. That's a good point.
Yeah,
because then you can make money on top of money on top of money. So.
That I didn't think about it like that. Like nowadays, instead of a 3.5-hour film, you do get something like Infinity War and Endgame, or It Chapter 2.
Because I mean, I've came across a few different people who have actually said, you can watch The Irishman in 3 different parts, and here's where you should stop. There's where you should stop. And
well, that's what I did. Well, but I didn't break it up by that per se. I just did like an hour. I did an hour of the film break, an hour of the film, and then the last hour and 30 minutes I just did all together. So, but that was like when it got really, really
good. To me, The Irishman is an old school classic epic. To me, I sat and watched it without nonstop, and it didn't fill 3 hours and 20 minutes to me at all.
No.
Anonymous wants to know what's your guys' take on award season? Does it matter? Golden Globes seem overrated anyway.
Well, we spent 20 minutes talking about the nominations, and While I prefer the Oscars over the
Me
Golden
too,
Globes.
Me too. It's still kind of fun.
It's just fun to see like what's gonna be like the front runners.
Yeah, you know, people fantasy book all the time, whether it be sports, wrestling, football. You know, who's going where to play what team on what day.
Right.
And you know, they talk about the game for 3 fucking straight weeks.
Yeah.
So I feel like why can't we do that about movies?
Well, I mean, on top of that, if you go and you're looking and you don't watch trailers, so you know, just putting that preface out, but
because of you guys, I'll sit here and say I have seen more trailers in the past 2 years than I have in my lifetime. I guarantee fucking to you.
But I mean, you know, if you don't watch trailers or something like that, and you go to Walmart or Target or Best Buy or whatever and look for, or you know, your local movie store and look for a movie, what's going to stand out to you? Just a random, boring, you know,
the sticker,
whatever, or
Golden Globe winner,
Golden Globe winner, Oscar nominated,
that's
Academy
true.
Award nominated. You're going to be like, oh, that's probably a good movie. Then you're going to buy it, and
you're like,
might
really?
Be like, hell yeah, or this piece of shit. Really?
Or if you watch like the news or Good Morning America, they talk about it, and you know, hey, it's an Oscar winner. You should check it out. And then people go to the Red Box, and you know, those stickers do matter, believe it or not. Derek wants to know, got to see an early screening of Uncut Gems. The cast is great. Sandler is amazing. What's your all-time actor who has surprised you in a leading role?
Probably Stallone for Creed. Honestly, I mean, like, just because, like, the fact that character at that time was, like, 40 years old, and he was able to do, like, almost like a whole redo of it, that is incredible.
I would probably say, like, after seeing that awkward moment and stuff like that, getting to see Michael B. Jordan start playing lead roles was kind of a surprise, but then once you kind of get used to him and all that, like, he's, you know, and I mean, he was, oh, God, I forget the Hardball, or
Hardball.
Yeah.
I think that's what the Keanu Reeves movie.
Yes,
yeah, that is Hardball.
Keanu Reeves. Yeah, I mean, you know, going back as far as that when he was probably like 10 years old or something. But I mean, seeing him now, it's kind of he's like a usual now.
Yeah.
You know, being
and he does have a movie come out in January. He is getting some Oscar buzz around that. So
I mean, there's you know different things like that. He kind of surprised me a little bit. So I thought it was cool.
I mean, Zach, you picked it up. If I had to just shoot off right off the bat, it'd be somebody like Robin Williams, the way his comedy is, and then go into like 1 Hour Photo or Insomnia. I mean, it's random that you picked that, but yeah, I'm glad you picked it up. I think roles like that people do, like even a Jim Carrey to Dark Crimes is a gruesome movie, or something
or
like
The
that.
Majestic, or something like that.
A bunch of comedians who can just jump in and start showing you what they got is pretty good. A regular here on the show, we might invite him to just call in one day. Coco Chris wants to know, what do you guys think of Hobbs and Shaw? It recently came out to the Red Box. Would you review it? What did you think?
I have not seen it, so I'm kind of out of
I would review it. It's a fun movie.
It is fun. Me and Johnny went to the theater. Oh my god, we went to the theater and laughed out loud at that last action sequence of the movie. We just turned to each other like, this is effing ridiculous.
It's not a spoiler, but I'll go ahead and say
it's in the trailer.
One small scene is when The Rock is on top of a semi.
I think I know what you mean.
And he's got a rope in this hand, and the helicopter's trying to pull him off of the semi, and he's pulling the rope a little closer. So it's hilarious.
One of the most ridiculous things ever, but like so enjoyable.
It's fun. Coco Crisp, I really do want to talk about it one day. It's actually, if you go and vote for it, it's in the Monkey Survey Monkey, and you can vote for the bonus episode. So yeah, I would run a review. I gave it a 7. I would definitely talk about it. And if it doesn't win a bonus, I think we'll throw it up there anyway. Getting ready for Fast and Furious 9.
Yeah.
Jim wants to know, why is Hitchcock so great? I think he's overrated. Why do you people think he's great? All these movies just feel the same to me.
Damn, nice delivery at least. Shit.
I don't even know how to respond to that, honestly.
I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, with all kinds of... Back at that time, it was kind of rare to get a guy that would have multiple movies that would make, you know, a decent sum at the box office. So I mean, it's not necessarily that we just think he's flat hands down the best ever or something like that.
No.
You know,
like Zach said earlier in the episode, it's an acquired taste.
Yeah.
If you're not into some certain slow-paced thrillers, like I said, maybe maybe Shazam or Scary Stories to Tell in Your Dark is up for you.
But
not saying those movies are bad, because I enjoy the hell out of them too.
Right.
But if you've seen 2 or 3 and they're just not for you, I would go ahead and stop watching some Hitchcock movies.
But here's the thing, though. I grew up, I would spend the days with my grandfather and grandmother, and that's what they would watch. They'd watch Hitchcock. They would watch John Wayne. They would watch these old, the Turner Classic Movie channels, and I always, it bored the hell out of me originally, but I understand why they appreciated those films, and not to mention that they grew up during that time. So,
which I mean, I think we are kind of spoiled now.
Oh yeah.
Because we've got, don't get me wrong, all these filmmakers that we've grown up just knowing, and they've made great films, and we've had all this CGI and different aspects of viewing. So I think it's just more, we're so used to having all kinds of great content come out that back then it was kind of a huge thing to have a good movie come out.
I'm just gonna go through the last 2. Frank, you wrote in a Star Wars email. I'm gonna say that for next week. David wants to know, Zach, you didn't think Die Hard was a Christmas movie. Maybe that should have been you falling from the building. And this is from David. First off, that's how you get banned. We don't we don't like to say we're no, but in all fun and games, yeah.
I should fall off the building.
Yeah. Damn. Wow. Okay.
I don't know how to. Again, it's your preference. There's a lot of movies that shouldn't be a Christmas movie. I consider Batman Returns a Christmas movie, but I like.
Fuck you, it ain't a Christmas movie.
I like Batman. Again, it's one of those movies like Die Hard is an action movie based around Christmas time. Almost like It's a Wonderful Life is just a sad drama movie based around the Christmas and the tough time around the holidays.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what if the Grinch happened in the middle of September? That'd be like it. Big old green ugly motherfucker coming and chasing everybody.
I'd like to see that version.
I would too. To be fully honest.
The Grinch steals the football.
The Grinch chapter 2.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That's kind of funny actually.
Yeah. So, Ricky wants to know. Recently listened to the Watchmen episode. Zach and Ed, what was your biggest pet peeve and one about the movie surrounding itself, and then what did you want if it wasn't for you? First off, I wasn't going to include me because I liked the movie. I think it's one of those that, again, the time is probably not for everybody, because even the theatrical version is like 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah. Almost
3 hours long. Poor Ed here watched the fucking Titanic version, the 4.5 hour storyboard version.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, how did you do that, Ed? I liked it. Well, no, I don't think you liked it because of that. But no, Ricky, actually, you're a little behind, bud, if you're listening to the Watchmen episode last week. But
it's all good. We like to have people watch or listen to our.
Hey, maybe you're just going through the catalog.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was about to say I didn't have too many nitpicks about it. The only thing I truly would is Jeffrey Dean Morgan is almost being typecast as an asshole nowadays. So
it all started with Watchmen.
Well, actually no. Yeah,
Watchmen was in 2008.
Yeah, it did, because that was way before he was on The Walking Dead.
Definitely.
Killed my favorite freaking character.
And then it said if it wasn't, he also said if you didn't like the way it was, what would you have made different about it?
I really didn't have it. I mean, that was my first time watching it, so I really didn't know what to expect. And so, I mean, like you said, you liked it better than us, but I mean, there was nothing I would say
Did you guys like it? I mean, that was one of the first superhero movies that was rated R and that was graphic. Mm-hmm. Did any of that bother you guys about Watchmen?
No, because I mean, don't get me wrong, if that bothers you, then
don't watch Deadpool.
Yeah, I was about to say, then Deadpool's definitely off your list.
I think Watchmen today, I know they have the HBO series, but if they did a Watchmen rated R movie today, I think it'd make big money because of all these other rated R movies.
I've heard that HBO series is incredible.
Yeah, me too. DC plug of the week, by the way, Birds of Prey is rated R.
There you go.
Yeah. Gotta get that DC plug-in. But I mean, yeah. So I found it decent. I liked it, but yeah, I was just like, why the hell? And then I found out, I watched the extra long version, and it was kind of like, oh, well, shit. Well, okay, whatever.
Other than that, it's on the road to Star Wars, guys. The next 2 weeks is The Last Jedi, and I think the good old Star Wars buddy Craig is going to be dropping by. So that'll be fun. And then Rise of Skywalker. And then it's hard to believe that this year is almost over, and we're going to close it out with Avatar from 2009, the 10-year anniversary of Avatar. So there's another 3-year movie for you guys, 3-hour movie for you guys.
But hey, let's get happy. We're going to start a whole new year of the Cine-Men movie podcast.
Yeah, and it's going to be a big year, and it's going to be a good year. And with that being said, Ed, you got anything else to say?
No, so I was going to say, this is Ed saying I'll see you on the silver screen.
Zach?
Excuse me, I gotta go jump off a building. I'll be right back.
That being said, guys, thank you for another edition of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. Don't forget, check us out next week as the road to Star Wars continues as we check out Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. This movie gets scrutinized, this movie gets judged, and I'm here to save that next week because, guys, at the end of the day, it's not as bad as everybody says. Check it out, rewatch it. It's on Disney Plus. Actually, the next two movies are going to be Disney Plus. You guys can check it out. Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Don't forget Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, is in theaters. And then Avatar is on Disney Plus. So you guys can check it out. And this is Juan saying thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next week right here on the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.